If you want to help support our channel, head over to Patreon and become a VIP member today. What's up, everybody? How you doing, Caputo?
I am doing good. I'm pretty hyped for this episode. I mean, not only are we like 2 weeks away from the big, season finale, the two-parters, episode 300. We're gonna take up a whole
That's
weekend
right.
doing that in just a couple weeks' time. But I mean, we got one last interview here for our season 5. One last interview here. This
We
is
haven't
pretty
had
good.
many
We haven't
this
had many in
year,
a while. Yeah.
but we've been very selective with who we picked, and I'm really excited for this one because we got Röckët Stähr from the movie Death of a Rockstar. We're going to talk about this movie, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to be fucking impressed when you hear his story on this. And we're going to have plenty of time to talk about that movie.
Yeah.
Because
Plus, we got maybe one final Guns N' Roses song to review for the end of the season. Who knows? We may get another one next week, but
because next week's our last wheel spin.
Yeah.
Well, tonight's our last wheel spin of the season.
Yeah, the final wheel spin. Maybe we'll give us 2 GNR songs to end off season 5 here with. Who knows? The possibilities are endless. So,
come on, Night Train. Come on, Train. I really want Night Train. I want to do Night Train. So, and it 300 episodes, and we hadn't.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Who knows? I mean, it'll come eventually, but we got to wade through the swamps of Duff McKagan music to get there.
Gross. Well, let's not paint a show that's about some really good music, talking about any more really bad music. Is waiting to talk to us. We got this poor man sitting in the room, so let's go ahead, hit that intro, and let's get this show started. Welcome to the Guns N' Radio podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the man of the hour, Röckët Stähr.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh wait, you know what? He deserves.
Yeah.
There we go. I keep forgetting we have those.
Yeah. We use the air horn one ironically, but that's about it.
But don't start spamming the air horn tonight. We don't want to run everybody off. Before we get too far into it, I want to tell everybody right up here at the top, the movie is Death of a Rockstar.
It is available on my web store, deathofarockstore.com. Or if you see one of the ads come along on your Facebook or Instagram feed, you can pick it up there. There's a special deal on there where you get it for cheaper and you get a digital download with it and all that jazz. So yeah, that's how you can get it.
Yeah, I didn't want to wait on the DVD, which it wasn't really that long ago. I was impressed. It came the week I ordered it. Like usually you order something online, it takes like 3 or 4 weeks to get here.
Yeah, I try to get them out the door as quick as I can. I'm not going to always be able to do that, but right now, like when I get orders, I kind of try to get in the post office within a day or two. But it's going to run me ragged eventually. But right now, I try to do.
So I came across, the way I heard about this is I was doom scrolling on the internet and I saw one of your ads and it spoke to me, man, because you spent 14 years making this movie. Is that right?
13.
Yeah. So 13 years. You wrote all the music. You played almost all the instruments. And then this is the part that impressed me. You spent 8 years meticulously animating this entire film.
Yes,
completely on your own.
I know. What the hell's wrong with me? This is not something a normal person does, or a sane person, or a healthy person. But it's something that I did.
Man, so after all that time, was there ever a point where you were like questioning, like, did I even really want to do this? Or by the time, you were like 9 or 8, how do you go like 7 or 8? At what point is the I'm in way too deep to turn back now? Is it 6 years?
Oh,
9 years?
Damn near every day. I was like, what the hell am I doing? It didn't start out in a way where first off, I didn't intend to animate the whole movie on my own or anything on my own because I wasn't an animator. I tried to seek out other like animation houses and other indie animators. They're very naive. Like, you're just gonna be like, oh, I got these great songs in the script. Like, do you want to animate this movie? And they'd be like, well, that all sounds great, but do you have like $10 million? And I was like, well, no. And they're like, well, good luck to you. And it just didn't really, I don't know why. It just didn't strike me. I figured like, oh, maybe they'd want to just kind of do it and then be a partner on it or something. But of course not. So I kind of started to where I was started deciding I was going to illustrate a couple scenes on my own. And I didn't really do anything like that either. So I brought a program, kind of designed the characters in some notebook paper and then the just regular sketch paper, and then translated that to the computer, started drawing a few scenes. And then on one scene, I just it happened to be an animation program that had illustration capabilities. One scene, I was just like, I could just move this one little part and just, to kind of, because I was trying to do it so I could then maybe bring that to places and try to raise funds for it. Yeah. And when I moved, I was like, oh, that was cool. I just animated something.
Oh, nice.
And so then 8 years later, it was kind of like that. I was like, well, maybe then I could just, move this or animate. And I just started doing little things like that. And eventually I was like, well, fuck it. I guess I can just do this all on my own. I'll just do the whole thing. And again, it didn't really strike me what I was thinking to take on at the time. I wasn't like, I'm going to do this for 8 years. And it was kind of more like, I'll just do it for as long as it takes and on weekends, whenever. Just did not really hit me that this would be how long it would all take me. But there you go.
And a lot of people probably would have said, okay, I can do 10 minutes, get that out, and then put that and maybe release it as a web series or something like that, and then just do it as you got it done. But you held out until you had the whole story completely finished. And
that was partly because a friend of mine who at the end of the movie, he's credited as one of the, I think I called him an advisor or consultant or something like that. My friend Phil Alaco, he's a filmmaker and he kind of acted as a producer during it. Like, I'd meet with him, I'd tell him what I was going to, he just watched the clips as I did them. But in the beginning, I went over to his house and I had just kind of done one scene. It was the second song in the movie that you see there, although it was much more basic than what finally went on screen. And he asked me, what I'd been doing lately, and I showed him this thing, and I was just like, he's like, oh, wow, what are you going to do with that? And I was like, I'll probably just put one up on YouTube as I finish it every 3 or 4 months. And he was like, dude, YouTube's not a plant. He's like, you have to do this. This is too special for you to just treat like some little thing you're going to put up every few months, So he really kind of motivated me to believe in myself. I believed in the project that I wanted to get it out there, but just didn't really think much too beyond that. So he really just for those years really encouraged me, and we every 5 or 6 months we'd meet and I'd show them what I had finished and we'd talk about it and and then I tell him what I was going to animate next and bounce my ideas, what I was doing off of them and stuff. So that was really helpful to have that, him and his producer of his films, Eisen Robbins, he's also named as a advisor at the end of the movie. They both, I'd meet with him every 6 months or so too, and we just all talk about what I had already done, and so that kind of helped me a little bit to keep moving forward.
Did they take a look at the movie as it was being completed and be like, hey, needs a little work here. You could probably make it look a little better here. What if, he gets a boner while he's thinking about the girl?
They never, and that was kind of a purposeful thing, is that if I, it's like they would never tell me what I should or shouldn't do, any ideas or anything. But what, they would sometimes say, like at the very first, that scene was a lot more blatantly political, that first scene I had done, named certain books, certain things. And they were like, you should probably generalize it just a little more, so it's not so specific, so it's in a world of its own in a way. So I kind of changed just a couple things based on that. But then when, as I kept going on with it, what would happen is if I, maybe tell them, okay, here's what I'm doing for the next scene with this character, this, that, and the other thing. And Phil would maybe be like, you should maybe come up with a different idea. That's maybe not too strong. You have to, if that's the scene you're going to do with that character, you have to really show what their motivating idea is. And I get so annoyed because I'd be like, fuck, it's like, first you get annoyed, like, no, but that's what I want to do. Then I think like, well, fuck, he's right. That really isn't a good idea. And it would get me to think, but the idea was that I always had to come up with the ideas. He would never say, here's what you should do to do that. This is the idea. I had this thing. And each time when he would do that, it would make me think harder and I'd come up with a better idea than I had. So that was another really, that was a great aspect of it, is that my ideas improved by having somebody that I trust, some people that I trust, because, plenty of people just want to hang their hat on something to tell to say, oh, I told him he should change that or whatever. But if because usually 99% of the time you'd be like, that was awesome, that was great, blah, blah, blah. But once in a while, if he said, no, you have to show, where that character developed for that scene, you can't just do that. So you really need to rethink that. I knew he was serious, and I knew that was something I had to really take seriously. And I'd say in all but maybe one or two occasions, I thought and changed the idea based on that.
How did you commit some of the more abstract scenes to paper, or did you at all? Did you just know what you wanted when you went into the animation point?
Well, I wrote a whole script, and then I proceeded to ignore it the entire time. I've never written a script in my life, but I figured, you have to. So I did write. I wrote. I bought a script writing program, wrote the whole thing out, and when I went to animate it, though, since I had never animated anything before, of course, when you start doing it, you start going, oh shit, that's not really going to work, or that's a little too hard to pull off. Maybe I should do this idea instead, or I do something like, to give you one example, there's a scene in the movie, if you remember, where he pulls some umbrellas out of his hair and gets blown up onto a cliff. Well, that happened because in the script, she actually, the female character, Ronnie Way, is actually on the edge of a beach with the water, and she's very distraught at the end of the beach, and her song before that takes place there. And he walks over to her, and then the next song begins. But as I was going along before that, I ended up with her up on the top of a cliff. And then I stopped to do the next thing. I was like, oh, fuck. Now what how am I going to get him up on top of the cliff within 3 seconds? And I thought, and then you start thinking, it's animation, so you can do anything. He's got this big, giant head of hair, pull some umbrellas out. The song is called Umbrella. So the wind gets
rolling.
Like, it's that was a kind of great thing about also working on my own, being the only one animated. Like sometimes the ideas, in the morning I could just work free flow. And some morning I'd be like, that doesn't work. Let me try this. And then that idea would lead to a different idea. And so the things in the script where the song began or end, those were almost completely exactly the same because the story still had to stay on that track. And there were a couple little jokes or things that I remember from the script that did end up on the screen. But for the most part, I never actually looked at the script, and I just kind of went on memory and animated constantly forward, like free flow momentum as to where it would go, just knowing, okay, I got to get here at the end of that song. Just make sure you get there, but anything else within that scene is up for grabs. You can do anything. So that's why it's constantly moving, as you saw, and it's constantly changing and things morph into each other, because that's how I was thinking. I was just trying to keep it moving and interesting to get from one point to the other.
Yeah, and one of the things I can say personally I liked about the movie is that you always have the lyrics on screen. And what led to that particular choice? Because a lot of times, you have to watch movies like The Wall and stuff like that. Sometimes you have to watch it if you're not familiar with the music. You might have to watch it 2 or 3 times to be able to catch, or at least watch it with the subtitles on to be able to catch everything. What was the decision to go from like maybe just some kind of boring subtitle at the bottom of the screen if you wanted to have text, to making it basically a 90-minute lyric video?
It's like a comic book brought to life is what I think of it as. That was, again, it was one of those sessions where I had done that initially on that very first scene that I animated, which is actually the second song in the movie. And that's how I had done it, but I wasn't entirely sure that that's how I wanted to do everything. But then when I watched it with, my friend Phil and his producer that we bought in Eisen, and we just watched it and discussed it, and I just said to them, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with the text balloons or not. And they were like, oh, we like them. I thought it was really helpful to have them. And so that was, some good feedback, because then I was like, oh, okay, so they're not distracting to you. Some people find them distracting. No one's going to love every little idea you do. But most part, I found that played out to be true, what they thought as well, is that people like having the lyrics on the screen.
It seems like it starts out. It seems like it starts out like text balloons and stuff, and then as the movie goes on, it gets bigger and bigger and more incorporated into the entire visual of what you're seeing throughout the whole thing. Or at least that's. Now I've only seen it twice, so I might be remembering it wrong. So,
well, yeah, I mean, even in that first song, I think. But yeah, the first one's just text balloons. But as it goes, it just kind of went like what the song called for. In fact, there's 2 songs with no lyrics in them at all. If you might recall, "Turn It Up Loud" and "60 Summer Heartbreak." Although there's one point where some of the chorus words come up in cracks in the ground during that one. For the most part, I just went with how it felt for that scene. Those 2 scenes, for some reason, it felt better with the editing and the flow of it to not have the words, because you get the gist of what's going on through the scene itself. The words are important, but to me, it felt right. And others, it's like, the text bubbles felt fine sometimes, but then other times it felt like, no, the design should incorporate those words, or what's happening, one point flames make out the words to something, or, cracks in the ground make it, and it just really went with how at the moment it felt like what the scene called for, right? So I just, again, another good thing about working on your own is go with what the inspiration is and what feels right from your gut,
Yeah, and plus, if you would have had somebody to come along and some team to come up, they might have been like, "Hey, boss, we got to talk about this boner scene." And honestly, that's my favorite part of it. That was my favorite scene.
It's kind of funny because I did that scene and then brought it to Phil and I to show them, and they flipped out about it too. They were like, "This is the best fucking thing in the movie. This is the movie. The whole movie has to be like that." And when I did, that was one of the ones where I thought of that scene like last minute, because in the script, it's more like something that kind of, they're going through a bunch of different scenes from movies. Like they're going through the beginning scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then it moves into a Star Wars scene, this and that. And when I thought about it more, I was like, oh God, that's going to be so hard to do. And I don't even know how to pull that off. And I was just trying to think of a great way, because it's supposed to all take place within a split second, that song. It's the second that he falls in love. And I kind of try to make that clear by every time you show the side of his head, his eye is a little bit more closed and a little more open. It's supposed to be the blink of an eye, that whole song.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that didn't work out real, because it was really difficult. It's hard to explain. Someday I might actually do a little video online showing the animation of why the eye blink didn't work like I wanted. But so that whole scene supposed to take place in the blink of an eye. He sees her, falls in love, and that song going on in his head is just 1 second. And so he gets hard that quick, right?
I know, right?
So it's just like something I was sketching in a notepad. I had to come up with something within like a day, because that's when I was going to set to animate this. And I just kind of quickly came up with that idea. I was like, that's it. It takes place all within his head, and I'll just do that. And then the body, and shows the fluids going on, his heart beating and pumping love. And so that was, just kind of how I can. And then when I showed it to them, and they just absolutely loved it, I was thrilled.
I saw that scene, and my girlfriend was with me, and I was well, she wasn't in the room yet, but I was watching it, and then I called her in. I was like, "Baby, come here, you got to take a look at this." So she came in and took a look, and she watched the scene. She was like, "Let's watch this whole thing, but let's do it this weekend where we can have edibles." And I was like, "Oh, that is a good idea." So I should say I've seen the movie about 3/4 of the way through, and then all the way through again with the help of the edibles. And I'm going to tell you, that's the way to see it.
That's what I've heard. Some people have told me that they drop mushrooms to it and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty funny.
I've never done that, but I can see that from being. How much of that was taken into consideration? Because a lot of these rock operas have a psychedelic aspect to them, kind of like, I already mentioned The Wall, and even Tommy has certain scenes that I think could be considered of a psychedelic nature. How much of that was taken into consideration?
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it just was that I love that aesthetic. and it's the aesthetic I was going for. There's like, the Yellow Submarine, look at bright colors and things are all swirly and early glam is very colorful and just the abstractness of stuff I enjoy. Like, I'm not a big fan of the Tommy movie, but I love the record. The record is fucking phenomenal. But the movie I'm not a big fan of, but I love the scene, that Elton John scene where he's got the big legs and, the stage of it. It's just so abstract and cool. And, I wasn't even really thinking, although when I was anime, I was thinking like some people might want to get high to this, but it was really just a matter of that's just how it came out of me. I like that kind of stuff, so just naturally went there. It wasn't like on purpose, like, yeah, I'm going to make sure this is the ultimate drug movie.
Well, have you had anybody want to show it? Like maybe, I can't believe like Adult Swim or somebody isn't interested in it.
That's exactly what I was thinking of too when I was watching it. I was like, this would be perfect for like something they could put on at like late at night, whatever, on Adult Swim.
Yeah,
on block. That'd be perfect, I think.
Well, if they ever find out about it and want to make me a multi-million-dollar offer, I will definitely consider it. But in the meantime, it's kind of, and some people ask me all the time, like, why don't you offer it this way or that way? It should be streaming. It should be free here. And then people, I've tried. I had it on streaming services for a while, Roku and Tubi TV for about a year and a half, and it just was not good for me as an artist. First off, you don't make any money on something like that. Maybe Adult Swim might be different. They might have actual money, but the streaming service, you really don't make any money on it. But what's worse is you don't find the fans that way. People watched it on there, I'm sure, but I have no idea who, but with the way I'm doing it now, like the ads, like you saw the ad, you bought the DVD, you're on my email list now, you asked me to be on a podcast. I've been building up fans since I've been doing it this way, where it's more personalized and I'm controlling it. Slow and it's a difficult fight every day, but it's actually building up real fans where, Adult Swim might be cool. And again, like if they have a lot of money and some way of doing it, it'd be great. But I don't know how that would benefit me in the long run as an artist. It might, but I certainly know it wasn't working for me on streaming services. It was just really a waste of a lot of my time. So
yeah. Well, I think like with something as big as Adult Swim, the only thing I could see it really being is people would tune in. They're probably not going to see the whole thing. Nobody tunes in and catches the movie from the beginning, but they'll probably come in about halfway through. They'll get interested in it, and then they'll be like, man, I wonder what that is. And then they'll go, they might go seek it out. And
yeah. Well, like I said, they discover it or hear about it. I mean, then great. People tell me about that stuff there's a lot of animator reviewers, some Connor guy, and then they're like, you have to get it to him. And I'm just trying to tell people, like, I've only got so many hours in a day. You can only give attention to pushing on so many ways. Like, I don't have time to suss out Adult Swim and try to figure out who the right person is and then keep following up. And I don't have time to send it to these YouTube animator reviewers and try to follow up. What I have time for is to interact with my fans that are coming in through, my ads and get the mailers out, try to work on a next record. You've got to kind of go where you're going to get the most meat you can get for the moment. So I'm like, if they find it through the ads or somebody forwards it to them and then they get in contact, well, great, then let's talk. But it's not stuff that I pursue actively because it's just, it's too much of a moonshot where I'd rather focus on the little build on a ground level.
Yeah. And I'd also say your newsletters aren't that, or whatever they're called, the emails that come after that aren't annoying or anything. As a matter of fact, I've responded to a couple of them and you responded back. I mean, like you can actually have a conversation that way. And
I love that. I love that so much. It's like, and it does take a lot of time because the more it builds, I'll get a bunch of emails and some people write really long emails, but it's beautiful because I get to learn about other fans and I ask, I ask questions about what rock and roll means to them and this and that and the other thing. And it's just wonderful to hear people open up like that because they came in through the movie and saw how much I love rock and roll. And that's why I did it basically. And then hearing their stories, it's moving to me. So I want to respond in kind. So I write a lot back. So it takes a lot, but that's what I mean about like building it up on a ground level. Someday maybe if I'm lucky, maybe I'll get too big and I can't do that anymore. Kind of like, you know, a good problem to have. But at the same time, you know, it's beautiful. I read a lot of those emails, you know, not to my wife when I get them if they're really particularly poignant or something like that, because I'll get fan art. People send me fan art, and I post that on my pages, and yeah, it's a fun thing to watch happen, you know.
And how many other albums have you put out? Because I've heard some of your other music that this led me to.
I put out a self-titled CD in March called Röckët Stähr, and because it's my name, and people are liking that a lot. You know, it's just funny because like everyone comes in through the death of a rock star, so it's hard to like funnel them down to that one too. But eventually, when they discover, they're like, "Oh my God, this one's really good too!" Blah blah blah. So yeah, that came out in March, and I'm really proud of that one. You know, I've been making music for decades, and this is sort of the culmination. I've got a backload of songs that I want to get out there and projects and stuff. But that's so far what I've officially released under the Röckët Stähr name.
Do you think you'll ever do another movie?
Not on my own. Fuck no. I would love to do, you know, I'm writing and working on another rock opera right now. I'd like to do a couple more. And I'll probably put that out in halves, maybe the first half some point around now next year. And it's way weirder than this one, way weirder, and more, even more rock and roll, harder rock based. But, you know, I'm not going to animate it. I might do the cover on my own. You know, I'm going to draw the cover because I have ideas. Maybe I'll put out like a little comic book version of it or something. But if things pick up at the other movie and somebody finds out and they're interested and wants to partner up and make a movie out of it, I would love to. I would love to make, you know, movies with my other music that I want to put out as rock operas as well. So just not by myself. That was a one-time thing. And people ask me to do it all the time. And I'm like, well, you won't hear from me for another 10 years.
Yeah.
No way.
So it's like, you know, once was enough. I'm trying to get my musical chops back in shape. I just did a live stream before I came on with you guys, since I had to put on all the makeup and stuff. And, you know, it went pretty messy because I don't have the time to really practice, get my chops back in shape, my voice back in shape. But I like to come on and play a little bit for people. So if I did the animation again, that would all be out the window. I wasn't a musician for those 8 years. I didn't pick up an instrument, barely at least, because it just it takes up, you know, 12 to 14 hours a day, you know? There's just no time for anything else in life.
I can imagine, because just editing video can take several hours. So I could imagine when you have to actually go in by hand and create every frame of everything you're seeing yourself, you know?
Yeah, and I know what you mean, because I even make my own live videos. You've probably seen some on my Instagram for some of my songs. You know, I do in front of the green screen and edit them all together. And even that takes a couple of days to edit all that and make it work.
Oh yeah, I like those. By the way, I like those music videos you put out. We tried to show a clip from them last week to tease you coming on, but our streaming thing didn't work right, so we just turned it off. We were like, we're doing you more harm than good.
We gave them a little tease at least.
Yeah, we gave them a little tease. They know what you look like.
Right. So I'd like to do another one or two. I almost shot one today, but I decided to do this other thing instead, and I'll probably do another one in a month or two.
Right on. What was the first instrument that you picked up?
Well, I started playing piano when I was about 5.
Oh, okay.
I was, you know, given lessons on it, but never got any good at all. Like just you go through the motions for a bunch of years and play what they put in front of you, the little books and stuff. It wasn't memorized. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Just I didn't know how to make the instrument my own. When I was about 15, I became a rock guy through Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. That's the band that changed my life. So I was like, I had to get a guitar. And, you know, playing the piano is not cool, Mom. I got to get a guitar. You got to, you know, play. They let me pay for my own lessons if I would continue with the piano. So started playing guitar at 15. And again, I'm not a great instrumentalist. I never got real good at that. I was always about, even from the beginning, I want to write songs and just be good enough to write and record my own songs. It was in my early 20s when I revisited the piano. I found a guy who was around my age who was willing to kind of give me lessons. He used to come into a store I worked at. And through that and through listening to Elton John's 11-17-70 live record and Tori Amos, who I loved, her first few records at the time were really big for me. I found my own voice in the piano that way and realized how to make the instrument work for me. And so now that's still my mother instrument. I've got it right here, actually. Sitting right next to me. That's from the opera. I don't know if you know that one. So yeah, so that's sort of my mother instrument, and I play it better than the others, which isn't saying much because I'm not that great at that one. So yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, the music.
Does that answer your question? I don't even remember what the question was.
No, it does. The music itself is really was also really. Oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? You have enough of the way you change and everything, like, and you allow the lyrics to breathe to show some of the story also going on. How different is it writing a song for an album versus writing a song for a rock opera?
It's no different. In fact, a lot of the songs for the opera were already written. When I came up with the story for the opera, I won't get into the whole thing about that unless you want me to, but songs like Death of Rockstar, the title song of that, that was actually written about David Bowie's last show as Ziggy Stardust. It was based on an interview I read. I have this really cool magazine with a whole bunch of old NME articles from the glam era. And it was an interview he was giving about his last show as Ziggy and why he killed the character. It was because it had kind of become more of a cage to him. And, where it used to be something where he can be something else other than who he was. And then it felt like it was a prison. And if you listen to the lyrics of that song, that's what I'm saying. A prison now, what once began as a way he could be free and this, that, and the other thing. And so when I came with the story, a lot of these songs came, I was like, oh, fuck, that's perfect for that scene. That's perfect for that scene. And it just kind of came together in this weird way. There's a few that I wrote specifically for it, like a song called Repent, and a couple, and others that were just ideas I had in my head that I never sat down to write, like Turn It Up Loud and 2164. But it's just kind of the same thing, really. It's like I usually have a bunch of ideas floating around in my head. Some, I put down on my iPhone. I've got like a couple hundred on there at every time. And back in the day, it was a bunch of cassette tapes and throw down an idea or two. And I kind of let them germinate in my head, sit down once in a while, play a little bit, and whatever kind of sort of starts to bubble up to the surface is what wins. Yeah. So that's I'm oversimplifying because there's so many different ways to do it. But yeah, it's not really any different. If I need a song for a specific thing, then I'll write a song for that specific thing, whether it's for the movie. I find the best ones are the ones that kind of come out over time on their own. But, then again, last summer, I forced myself to write a song called Galactic Pioneers. And that's on my latest Röckët Stähr record. And people seem to like that a lot. It's my first synth pop record ever. So nice. I guess I do it on demand as well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the storyline of the movie, because I haven't seen a lot of that on some of the socials and the ads I've been seeing. So it takes place in this futuristic, I guess, what's the word I'm looking, dystopian future.
Yeah.
Where we're not going to say Catholic Church has taken over the entire world.
Right. Well, see, it's not. And there's a scene in the beginning where it makes clear, like, there's all these religious wars still waging elsewhere in the world between, Islam and Catholicism or whatever. Put in whatever thing you want. I never call it Catholicism or anything like that, because the ultimate point is he's technically the Tsar of America. And, there's all those other countries have their own dictatorial. The whole world is under that kind of thing, but there's still different countries. Yeah, it's hard to get really detailed in a little opera like this. But I throw little things in there to make that kind of clear. And it's more of a marriage, like, yeah, it's that religious part from the right, and then the overly communist part of the left, and they've kind of merged together. They realize that they both just want to control people as much as possible, so they figured we might as well do it together, and it becomes one horribly dictatorial regime. That's in the song Repent. It kind of tells you about that. It says, since the left and the right joined forces to fight the unpredictable will of the individual, we've replaced Adam Smith's invisible hand with a visible fist of the will of the people. So it's kind of a, it gets, some political stuff thrown in there. And obviously it's got a lot of my views in there. But what I always like to make clear is that I tried to make sure it was something that whether you agreed or disagreed with the politics in it, you can just enjoy it on the surface level for fun. I just wanted to make it fun. When I started making it, things weren't quite as political as they seem now. I felt like,
a whole different world. 13.
Yeah, because this was, I literally started this during the Bush administration to show you how long it's been. And it's kind of held true all that time, whether it's been Obama or Trump or Biden. It's like people still say, wow, that's still, that gets kind of relevant to today. I'm like, yeah, but I started this in the fucking 2000s, man.
We went through 4 presidents.
So it's like, but I just want to make it clear that it's fun overall. It's a love story. It's not like it's beating you over the head all the time. You and say you must think this or believe this. I want people to enjoy the big boobs and the penis getting erect and laugh like the kids over stupid jokes. That's what I really, and it's a love letter to rock and roll overall. I guess
basically rock and roll is what is going to save the world, or so we think.
Right.
But I don't want to give too much away, but I guess it's not giving too much away. I mean, it's a good story. Maybe things don't go exactly as planned. There's not a movie.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be much of a movie if it did.
But it's very interesting, would it?
Yeah. So and
that's kind of, it's funny because you said you didn't see really anything on the ad about the story, and I don't mind that we're talking about the story now because of course it's actually, if you click over to my ad and you scroll down a while, I do sort of give the outlay of the story, but I don't put that stuff up front that much because what I find is that people are usually more surprised and enjoy it when they don't know really what it's about.
Okay.
They're kind of caught off guard. They're kind of taken a little bit like people, like I've had even reviewers from back when I had it in festivals and stuff. They're like, wow, I didn't know it was going to get that deep. Like I thought it was going to be just a silly rock opera with a lot of silly premises, which is great. And that's what's fun about rock operas. They can be fucking ridiculous, but they're usually taken a little bit aback that there's some deeper themes underpinning it, that there's actually a story there. So I kind of find that fun that because sometimes when you tell people like what we're saying beforehand, people get preconceived notions of what they're in store for. They get a little bit taken aback, like, oh, they're gonna knock my thing, my political ideas or anything, and it doesn't, because it doesn't take any particular side or anything like that. But I find that fun going into it when people didn't know what it was going to be,
I would say probably, if anything, it knocks rock and roll more than it does, as much as it is a love letter. With it, I mean, you wrote the movie, obviously, what happens and what ends up happening with our characters and the message they're trying to spread. In a way, it kind of backfires, but I won't say anything else. I don't want to give too much away, but I will say one more thing. Watch it till the very, 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 very end, because there's a little bitty twist right before the movie ends that popped our whole household when we were watching it.
I love that. Yeah, that people end up liking that ending a lot, and I love that because that's again one of those things that I came up with at the very fucking last minute, just thinking what to do, and one idea led to the other, and I just went to my friend and I was like, I got it. I know how it should end. And the fact that people respond so well to that ending is really, really great.
That was hilarious, man. I hadn't made it that far the first time I watched. So when I was over here watching it on the big TV with my girlfriend, we both popped hard for that.
That's great. That's so great to hear.
That was great. So stick around for the whole thing, guys. The movie is Death of a Rock Star. Probably help if I show the cover. Death of a Rock Star. You can see link in the description where you can purchase the movie, and maybe even get the very special ones get signed. Only the very best people get theirs signed when they.
Yeah, here's the deal with that real quick. If you buy it through the ad, it comes signed. That's part of the deal, even then it's cheaper and everything. If you end up buying it through the web store, It's $5 extra to sign it, although those I will personalize. So yeah, that's sort of the deal with that. You get a special deal with the ad.
I was going to tell him that.
Oh, sorry, I gave away the ending. The spoiler.
So I was going to be like, so if you get assigned one, you're one of the special awesome people.
That's right. Well, we can still pretend that's the case. You can edit it later.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. You know that. It's more funny this way anyway.
Digitally remaster it like Star Wars or something.
Oh, yeah. You think you're going to ever digitally remaster this movie? Or are you going to start George Lucasing Death of a Rock Star and then...
Fuck no. And funny because there are errors in it. Somebody just pointed out an error to me recently that I had no idea about. And I was like, he's like, wow, that was really deep. You meant to do that to like on purpose as like to show the undercurrent. And I watched, I was like, no, that was me. That was a complete fuck up. And you're only now showing me. He thought it was like some deep, like, yeah, that was really great. I'll tell you what it is. There's a scene with the father, the runaway's father. He goes to sit down in his chair. One point, he's wearing a cross around his neck. And the other points, he's wearing that, that kind of X that the Tsar and all the bad guys have on them. Mm-hmm. And that was because of one of those things where I told you my friend said you should generalize it a little more. And I had changed the cross to where he's loyal to, this dictatorial, leadership thing. But apparently I didn't do it to every single frame. And so it switches from the cross to the thing. And he thought that was my subliminal way of like, kind of like wink, wink, nudge, nudging. And it totally wasn't. So there are errors like that in it. At one point, the guy's guitar strap's not quite on him. There's a few spelling errors running through it. So, but I like that. I think that makes it more just kind of like even more interesting and human. So I'll never take those out or fix those at this point.
So if somebody came along with a film crew and they were like, hey, man, let's make this into a live action thing. Would that be something you would be interested in?
Yeah. If somebody had money behind it and ideas, depending on how much creative control I was allowed to keep over it and all that, or, saying no to things I don't like, of course, then tell me how much money they have and maybe I'll let that go too. But no, that would be amazing. I would be really curious about that. People always talk about Broadway and stuff, and it's similar to the Adult Swim thing. Like, I'm not going to pursue that because it's such a moonshot. But if somebody came along with the idea, and had the money and the producers, I would love to see it staged. That would fascinate me. So, I'm very much open to anything, really. Even the porn version. Can you imagine a porn version of it? I mean, it's screaming for it, and that would just tickle me with a feather.
Oh man! Well, they wouldn't be using hammers in Repent. They would.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, they'd be using hammers. Different kind of hammer.
So who would, if you could cast this as a live action movie, who would play the rock star?
Oh, me, of course.
Oh, you? Okay, well, there you go.
No, I have no idea. He's technically half black.
Gonna have to have some CGI here.
Exactly, yeah. And then I'll be canceled.
I think it's okay if you CGI it. I don't know. I don't know the rules.
It's still less offensive than Jar Jar Binks. So I mean,
fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah. He's based physically on Slash, Jimi Hendrix, and Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy. That's mostly a little bit of Prince maybe in there too, but like that's mostly the combination of them is like where the face, the way he stands and everything, it's like a hodgepodge of that. So anybody who can kind of come that kind of vibe across, that's what I would be looking for, like a strong, angular, long face, or, why the long face? Forearms, of course, essential, massive cock. All these things are obviously very important to the character.
Extremely.
Yeah, at least for the Death of a Cock Star version. The porn. That definitely, yeah.
Well, see, that's the twist. In the porn version, he's got to have 4 dicks also.
Yeah. That would be great. No,
Now that I'd pay to see.
That's right.
Imagine the
I'd buy that
helicopter.
for $1.
Hell yeah. Get that on Patreon. Go ahead and say, well, no, better not, because now people's going to start making your fan fictions for you.
Yeah, they're going to start a GoFundMe.
That would be awesome too. That would be hilarious. And again, I love anything. I love the fan art that I get. And if people even did fan fiction, that would blow my mind.
So send in your pornographic Death of a Rockstar fan fiction.
So rule34.com.
I'll do it G or X-rated. Anything is fun.
What about the chick? Who would you get to play the chick?
Oh my God! I guess Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, there you go. See, that's
no, not even that. I don't even know why I said that. I guess because she's a small blonde chick. No, actually, who is what is her name? I can't think of it. There's a recent actress who, oh gosh, and people are going to kill me for saying this, but she is a thin blonde with very big breasts.
Sydney Sweeney.
Yes.
I mean, the internet only talks about her boobs now. So.
I mean, she's beautiful. People give her a hard time as an actress. I think she's a fine actress, but she is gorgeous and physically kind of looks the part of the character, I think. So, yeah.
Well,
I guess.
there you go.
Well, we got one character cast.
All right. So there you go.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
You know, and I think, we were talking about this because you were mentioning skill and stuff like that earlier. And I think when it comes to acting, well, particularly rock and roll, one thing I have found that a band does it. Rock and roll is kind of like professional wrestling. You don't have to be good at it as long as you've got the charisma. And if you don't believe me, the guy that made the most money in the entire business in professional wrestling was Hulk Hogan. He couldn't wrestle worth shit.
Yeah.
But he had charisma. And you look at another guy that's made a shit ton of money that can't sing worth a fuck is Vince Neil. And so, I mean, you don't have to have talent as long as you got charisma.
That's what I love about rock and roll. And I don't know if you watched the video, one of those emails that comes with where I talk about what rock and roll means to me is that it's kind of both. You can do exactly what you said, record a record in your garage where you can barely carry a tune and it can become the coolest, best thing in the fucking world. Or you can be Steve Perry or Freddie Mercury, where you have a voice that was like a gift from fucking God and also be great and valid in the same stratosphere of rock and roll, that same umbrella of rock and roll. I love that it can carry both of those things, and I love them both. I love that whole breadth of it.
Yeah, and there has been times also I've seen some of what people consider to be some of the most technically gifted musicians in the world on stage performing, and they just be boring to watch.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say who.
Yeah.
Probably I've told Caputo.
They know who they are.
They don't. You know who you are.
Completely agree. It's a show. You got to still be a showman.
Man, well, anyway, check out Death of a Rockstar. It gets my recommendation. I'm glad I bought this because I'll be watching. Actually, we almost watched it with the boys this weekend while they were in town, but things went awry a little bit. Things kind of got out of hand, and luckily we were recording everything. So I'm going to take this point to tell you over on our YouTube channel, if you're already subscribed, good. If not, hit subscribe, because when that vlog comes out, you're going to see some serious shit. But anyway, Rocket, are you able to stick around a little bit, or do you
Sure.
Well, we're going to get into our song of the day, which is, you said Guns N' Roses was one of your favorite bands, so we're going to get everybody's favorite album, Chinese Democracy. We're going to break some of that out today.
Right. And my second favorite band, that is correct.
Who's your favorite?
The Beatles.
The Beatles. Oh,
yes. Right. The Beatles.
Everybody, I think.
And then there's everybody else.
Am I a person in the world that just absolutely hate?
There's about 3 or 4 of you out there.
Well, here's the thing. I don't like that I hate the Beatles. Like, I don't like that I hate Nirvana. I feel like I'm missing out on something because the people that love it seem to really, really love it. And I wish I could find what it is I'm missing. Because I don't know what it is.
A heart.
The heart? Maybe. Could be. Could very well be. But let's take a listen to Riad N The Bedouins, and we're going to have some discussion as this goes on. Because you told me before the show you have some thoughts on Chinese democracy as well, and I want to hear those as we give a listen to this. And we're going to start out with a little bit of controversy right from the beginning, because before I even hit play, this song is known for being the one song on the album that got Guns N' Roses got the shit suit out of them for this part of the song.
First, like 30 seconds.
Yeah. And when I first heard it, I thought my radio was fucking up. But what was that? What was that about, Chris? Do you remember?
I have the thing here. So this was, there you go, Erlich Schnaus. Is it I think it's Schnaus. I'm saying Schnaus. Schnaus, German electronic artist. So he filed suit against GNR. This was in about a year after I think the album released. So he said Riad N The Bedouins included unauthorized samples of 2 of his songs, Wherever You Are and A Strangely Isolated Place. And then GNR's manager at that time, Irving Azoff, were saying will vigorously contest these claims. And also, I don't know what happened. I think it got settled out of court eventually, but I will. I did find a link where you can compare the 2 here. It actually does have the clips of, from the Erlich Schnell song and then the part where it shows up in Riad N The Bedouins. I know this part, the first 30 seconds, is very similar to one of those songs.
Is it similar or is it the same shit? Like,
It's
did he
very
have a bass?
similar. It's close. I don't know. I feel like the whole thing was apparently like the thing was like, oh yeah, we're gonna put like some like royalty free or like some, something like some fair use, I guess, little 30 seconds, whatever, in the beginning of this track for ambiance or whatever. And I guess whoever sourced this out, whoever wrote on the track or who produced it, could be a whole litany of people. Obviously, did not clear it somehow, or was like, oh, we didn't know this existed. And some German guy made this or something,
They pulled it off of archive.org.
Yeah, probably.
So how does he get that there's a song in this? What is he hearing in the Because it just sounds like a bunch of radio.
It's the ambient sound, I think.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a little synth there. Yeah, the BPU.
So they stole that.
Apparently. It sounds very similar.
Huh. So, Röckët, somebody sampled like something of yours and put it in like super duper slow motion. You think you would have the ear to know that as a musician?
I might, but I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't be trying to suck money out of them over it. And I just, I mean, give me a break. Sometimes people are just looking for a payday. And yeah, I probably would notice it, but I wouldn't give a shit. I might ask them to say, hey, can you just maybe shout out that was from me or something? And
put you in the liner notes, man.
Is bringing some people to you, but yeah, I mean, whatever.
I think he sued and won 50% of the royalties and got a whole $20 for how much.
I was going to say, it can't be that.
And you tried for $1 million, then you get much.
Bronze, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't. I'm not sure this album made $1 million.
No.
Well, I mean, it already went platinum because they sold 1 million copies to Best Buy. So technically,
yeah,
it's platinum.
I don't know. Does that count? Well, that's why we were buying. Me and Rick went to Best Buy one day and we bought 5 copies on vinyl for like 75 cents each.
Yeah.
So,
like post after it had been out for a while. I definitely went. I went to Best Buy that first day and bought it because I remember that was like the exclusive, right? It was only at Best Buy, and I definitely still wanted to get it the first day and run home and listen and all that,
Yeah, we bought it. What was it? 08?
Oh wait, November of 2008, man.
Wow.
I've got the date on my wall. I have to keep checking. So 2008. So yeah, it was about 3 years later. 3 years later, we bought, which I wish I still had because I was giving them away to people. Like, dude, just check it out and just listen to it. Here's a free copy. Like, I was trying to spread the word and get people to actually just try it at one point because I had so many copies that I was just giving away. Now those albums, those vinyls, those original pressings, fuck, you could probably sell it for like $100 on eBay.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Wow. Now, are you
Right.
guys pro Chinese democracy? Are you
I
fans?
am.
Yeah, we're pretty pro. I'd say.
What about you? Well, we want to hear the other side too. It
Well-
wouldn't be much of a conversation otherwise.
Well, to me, it's a matter of, to me, Guns N' Roses is always going to be the original Five Guys to me. I, of course, went with them into the Illusions and stuff, and I love those records, and I still, begrudgingly consider that Guns N' Roses because, it's still 3 out of the 5. When it went down to just Axl and a bunch of other people, I just couldn't take it seriously as being Guns N' Roses, being the band Guns N' Roses. I can take it seriously as Axl solo, and by that stretch, I'm cool with it,
Yeah.
But I cannot consider it Guns N' Roses. Now, I do think there's a lot of really great songwriting on that record. And hearing them play with Slash and Duff live now, like this, I love. I mean, that could have been on the follow-up to the Illusions with Slash and Duff. It would have been the heir to an Estranged or something like that. It's such a beautiful song, and hearing Slash play that lead live is just fucking amazing. And Chinese Democracy live too, with Slash and Duff filling it out to make it just sound more like Guns N' Roses to me should sound like. Brings those songs another dimension to them that I'm missing from the record. To me, the record sounds like it's pieced together. This guitar's here, that thing there, and solo sounds like it's maybe overlaid by this guy, and makes it hard for me. But when I hear it with those guys play live as a band, I think there's some excellent. Street of Dreams, that could have been a great fucking song if it had been done with like at least Guns N' Roses Point 2 from the Illusions, let alone it's a really good, another big Axl ballad, So that's definitely my take on it. It's a cool Axl Rose solo record, but I can't consider it Guns.
Do you mix your own music?
I do.
Okay, so I have heard what you're saying about things being layered in and like things on top of things and stuff like that. I don't hear that, but I don't know how to mix music.
Mm.
So I think maybe if your ear is a little more keen to knowing what you're looking for, like I can watch a video and I can tell where every little edit's been made. I can tell, they cut something out right there. But before I started doing that, I probably didn't notice as much, especially on like production, like TV and stuff like that. So
it just feels disjointed to me is kind of what I mean. Like, here's a good example. I'm sure you guys remember the leaks that came out years earlier.
Mhm.
And one was Catcher in the Rye. And that's another one that I think is a really excellent song. I think it's one of the best ones on the record. But I was so disappointed when I heard the final version on the record. Whereas when I heard that leak, that demo, it felt loose. It had more of a real feel to it, and it moved me more. And then when I heard it on the record, it kind of felt like very, very kind of glossed over and sterile compared to the life of the demo. So that's kind of what I mean.
So you think some of the things basically could have stayed in the oven less time? They left it in the oven too long and it got burnt.
Oh, way too long, way too long in the oven, and way too many cooks and put it in that oven.
Oh yeah, with the revolving door of producers, even talent, musicians as well. That was the whole thing. Like I think with Axl, he said like he wanted to get the quote unquote aura of like every band member. So basically, a new guy comes in, we got to redub and re-record this stuff,
right?
And it just adds more to the budget. So.
Maybe we'll. How do you feel about them using the electronics in there?
Me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Again, like for an Axl solo record, it's fine. That doesn't bother me. Of course, I wish it was more. If it's Guns N' Roses, a little more stripped down. But if it's done well, it's fine.
And there's another thing that people are talking about Axl's voice people complain about that in this record, but I don't hear a problem. Like, he sounds like Axl. I don't like now. Like today, when you hear him on stage, I get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, but like, what's different about that on this album versus, I don't know, like.
I think certain songs are different. Like this one, right? You know, there's some of the songs I don't hear it on, although it is very, very auto-tuned. But on that particular song right there, I definitely hear that kind of a little bit of that Mickey Mouse-ness to it. Not as much as sometimes he can have live these days, but just like a touch of that already starting to go on. Did I get balloons behind me when I said Mickey Mouse? Was that?
Oh, I guess.
I don't know what the hell that was.
Mickey Mouse.
It wasn't us.
Yay, we're going to Disney World.
Whatever that was, it was not us.
Yeah. And I mean, even now he's live. Sometimes he still, when he hits the real high screeches, he can still sound fucking great as hell. Like we've seen him, I guess, 9 times or 12 times actually, I think, maybe, since they've come back. Slash and Duff have come back. And the first year or two, he sounded really damn good.
Yeah.
The last few shows, he's starting to kind of lose. But still, when he goes into those screams, he still has that, which is crazy. That mid-range where he really struggles, you know, not low, not real high, that real mid-range kind of, you know, sort of thing.
I feel like he should go to a voice coach and learn how to sing with his old man voice.
Well, I mean, his vocal coach died.
We need to get another one. There's other ones out there. I mean, Billy Joel, he don't sound like he used to, but he don't sing like he used to. He don't try to hit those notes.
But Billy Joel has guys who cover those high notes for him in the band.
Well, so does Axl. I mean, well, he used to anyway. He's got Melissa. Use Melissa.
Yeah. My wife and I were talking about that the other night about the whole, you know, I'd rather hear him sound bad than lip sync. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
like, I'll still go here and I give these guys, you know, him and Vince Neil. I know they might sound crap live, but at least that's the guy I'm hearing, and I like that, you know.
Well,
you know, and I'm even cool with like the Billy Joel thing. Apparently, the guy from Halloween is doing that now. Like he's got a second singer that can kind of cover some of the higher range she can't do anymore. And I'm like, well, that's cool. So we can still get out there, have somebody cover for him, but we know that's what's going on. He's part of the band, you know. So, you know, I think that's fine, you know.
Well, when it comes to Vince Neil, he's the only one not faking it in the whole damn band. We've learned.
Yeah, especially.
All right, I'm gonna hit this part, and I'm gonna let this part play for a minute because this is what sold the song to me. This is my lyric of the song. Love that shit. Cause I am crazy.
I like that part, that melody. You know, that's got some of that grit. And that, but I actually do like some of this song.
Got them balls. Like, I don't give a fuck because I am crazy. I will take all you motherfuckers on.
Yeah, reminds me of the Out to Get Me.
Oh yeah.
Very reminiscent of that, yeah.
This might be the Out to Get Me of Tridem.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that you brought it to my attention, and I've been listening to this song for years now, now that it's been brought to my attention, I can kind of hear a little bit of the struggling to hit some of those notes right there. Just saying, even with the auto tune and corrections and stuff that's been made,
all the Pro Tools magic,
all the Pro Tools, yeah. Why don't we have Pro Tools?
Yeah,
we should run this whole podcast through Pro Tools.
Yeah, but then we sing like this.
Yeah, the T-Pain show.
We could do that.
No, if you're gonna run me through Pro Tools, make me sound like Donald Duck. That's what I want. Just have me over. And then Chris Caputo's all like normal and calm, and then
Yeah, you could throw on the goofy vocal filter if you want. I mean, okay.
Gosh. Somebody's going to do that now. You realize that, right?
Yo, yeah.
We're going to see that in our Discord in about 2 weeks this is going to air on Sunday. So
yeah.
give it
a few days after Sunday. Yeah, we'll be memed out of this. So.
Like that right there. See, I'm hearing the struggling now that you've said that.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of hear I don't know if I'd call it struggle, but I can feel what he's trying to do and the pain.
It's a little more of like a covered sound in the voice as opposed to that open kind of grit he used to have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to pause it for a minute because it's that time of the show where Chris Caputo, in his greatest Walter Cronkite voice, is going to read us some lyrics, and we're going to make a story out of this.
All right, and good timing for that because I actually had pulled out the old physical booklet for this one.
Oh, wow.
Hell yeah. Keep your physical media, kids. You never know when it's going to go out of style.
That's right.
Here we go. Riad and the Bedouins had a plan and thought they'd win, but I don't give a fuck about them because I am crazy. Oh, my salvation, in all my frustration, caught in the lies that no one had wove as well, somewhere in time where only I could tell. Oh.
So you think this is like the Out to Get Me about the old band?
I don't know. I've heard so many things about this. Actually, there's a quote here that was from one of the alternate album booklets. There's like 3 versions of this album, apparently. There's like this version with like the retail one. There's one with the red hand.
Yeah.
And there was one with the grenade on the cover, and they all had different artwork and stuff. But in those 2 there, I found the quote. So this is the quote in one of those alternate album booklets here that Axl describes it. It says, "Riad is the name of my one-time momentary brother-in-law of Aaron Everly. I can't even fucking talk right now. Jeez. Okay,
so bitch I was married to.
Yeah, so it was Riad's the name of a former brother-in-law. That's, I guess, the name he went by, apparently. Part Lebanese descent and a former student of Pepperdine University, he claims to be an international arms dealer, billionaire, with ambitions of being, quote, king of the world. He claims to fund several medical organizations and underground Nazi organizations around the world who says his heroes are Napoleon and Adolf Hitler.
Well, that took a left.
Yeah. And it goes on here. It goes on more. He claims his most prized asset is his anonymity. He also claims to be an expert in military strategy and was the inspiration for the gun song Civil War, which was written per his request for a song how, quote, people were stupid and he could and sell them anything because people love to kill each other. He also claims to be an expert in global finance and money laundering, living tax-free in Bel Air, last I was aware, and claiming to launder monies for wealthy individuals in several countries, predominantly Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, with ties to the Bush-Reagan administration, and wherever there's a war in the world at any given moment. So, wild fucking story.
I wonder why that didn't make it into the final liner notes of the album.
Well, some of the other artwork is a little questionable too, but
God damn. Wow. And so who are the Bedouins?
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking through like forum discussions. People are like, oh, the Bedouins are probably like, Aaron Everly and Stephanie Seymour or some shit. I'm like, I mean, like Chinese Moxie, I guess the first one was, a Stephanie Seymour album. And if we got 2 and 3, if we got the trilogy, it would have been a whole album dedicated to Slash. So,
no, the only song I'm sure is about Slash is Sorry.
Which is kind of ironic because they played that so many times live. And like, I don't know if Slash would want to play a song that badmouths him that much live.
That's right.
It's weird.
Why not? Axl sings a song that's a fuck you Axl song every time Izzy Stradlin's on stage. 14 years is Izzy Stradlin talking about it. Axl's been an asshole for 14 years.
That's true. That's like they're like Fleetwood Mac rumors moment, I guess.
It kind of is. I mean, and they don't deny that. That's not rumor or anything. That's what the fucking song's about.
Mm.
How would you rock it if you were making a song of this kind of caliber? How would you tackle some of those dueling vocals?
I'm not sure what you mean. What dueling vocals? Is it
So
really?
well, how he's like the and then like the other one comes in like before this one's finished, and they kind of duel back and forth.
Oh, do they? I just kind of thought he just heard it as like one line, just right.
Yeah, he's doing like some ahs and oohs.
Okay, maybe I'm not really hearing that.
And some yeehaws and some
I'm
throwing a couple of gunshots.
not really sure. Probably just wouldn't do it.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
or think of some lyrics to get a better pre-chorus.
Yeah, you think if they'd let Chinese democracy keep on cooking, we'd have got some additional. Nah, we wouldn't have got shit.
No, we wouldn't have. This album should have been released no later in 2006.
Oh yeah, they weren't working, dude. We've proven that on this show.
Yeah.
With all the stuff we've dug up over the last 5 years, I think one thing we have proven 100% is they just weren't working. That's why it took that fucking long.
That and just personnel changes, a lot of bullshit. I think Axl was getting like, it was in like so many different lawsuits at this point. You know, it was like his second favorite thing to do besides nothing, I guess.
I know, man. You know what? I'm glad to see lately though, with him getting sued again. He's back to his old hobbies.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to see the old Axl coming back for a little while.
Death, taxes, and Guns N' Roses getting sued. Mostly Axl.
Do what?
What's he getting sued for?
What is he getting sued for?
I don't know. Isn't there like some like sexual harassment claims against him or something?
Guns against his manager.
Oh, but there was some against him. I don't know if those got dismissed.
I don't know. Maybe
because someone brought up like those like before the statute of limits. I think.
Oh yeah. Somebody tried to accuse him of like assault, sexual nature.
Yeah, sometime in the 80s, but like I don't know. It was very fishy because the girl like wrote her like various books and done interviews saying it was like, oh, it was consensual and all this stuff, and it's like, oh, the statute of limitations says run up the books for a while in New York, so that happens. I don't know.
And it was like the day before statute of limitations went out. She changed her story or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he might have got like beat the shit out of a reporter again. We need a good Axl beats the shit out of a reporter moment. We haven't had
a 60-plus-year-old man getting arrested again. Okay, come on.
But well, see, as long as it's another 60-year-old reporter, like what if it's like Bill O'Reilly, and then like
screw it, just punch out Bill Maher. That would have been helpful.
Oh, that'd be funny, wouldn't it? Like two old men fighting, or Vince Neil actually shows up for the fight, but it's like tomorrow.
Oh, finally!
And they actually have the fight. Now it's like an old man fight. Hey, I'm going to tell you, if you've never seen an old man fight, I have. I've been to enough bars. I've seen a few 70-year-olds throw down. It is funny. You talk about every punch is telegraphed, and it's like, man, I could dodge that. But then it's like, well, if I'm also moving that slow, I wonder if they see it at the speed we see it at, or if it's actually in their eyes happening really, really fast. Like they think it is. Oh man, let's get through the rest of this. Let's get to the guitar parts because this is going to be
the soul's building up, I think, right now.
Yeah, now that we've got a real musician with us, we can really get some input on this part. Okay, so now how difficult was that to pull off?
I mean, I'm sure it's difficult, but that doesn't mean good.
Yeah.
You don't you wouldn't grade that as very good?
No, I mean the first part is decent. The first part's cool. There's some feel. There's some idea going on there, but then it just becomes wanking. What I don't know if it sounds like a whole nother guitar player comes in after the first couple of bars, and it's just
very likely
a fucking mess to me. I wouldn't, don't like that at all. It just sounds like a bunch of notes and weird sounds with no real purpose.
Who is credited on this one as the guitarist? Caputo?
So we have 4 guitarists on this track.
Oh, God.
Before that, though, I'll say this was Axl Rose, Tommy Stinson wrote this song. Guitars, Buckethead, Ron Bumblefoot Thalt, Robin Fink, and somehow Paul fucking Tobias is on this song still.
Huh.
Guitar
Wow.
solos, I'll tell you right now. Bumblefoot, I think that was his solo. Then Buckethead, it says it does the outro solo.
Okay. So that was Ron.
That was Ron. Yeah, it was
Okay.
Ron Thalt.
Good. Our good friend, I might add, Ron Thal.
Yeah. So I'm guessing when he joined, I believe the story was I was even looking through forums and stuff. Like they just recorded, I guess, over Buckethead's old solo, or maybe it was an old solo of Robin Fink's or something. I don't know. If you listen to the demos and the leaks from like 2000, you could probably hear a different solo. Maybe.
Yeah, if I would have had to guess, I would have thought that second half of that solo was Buckethead, and I would have guessed that the first half was maybe Bumblefoot, but I'm not sure. Really sure.
Well, let's wrap it up. What does he say right there, Chris?
Oh, hang on. Pull up the lyrics.
Yeah. Good man.
Oh, sweet salvations, like all my frustrations, caught up in lies, no one had wove as well.
Okay.
Somewhere in time, where only I could tell.
Okay. I never did get that one little part right there. Okay, so now this is Bucket.
Yeah, it's probably Bucket. It plays throughout the outro.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Buckethead Bucket.
All right. Well, what's your Rocket? What's your thoughts on Buckethead?
Not a fan. I mean, obviously, extremely talented as far as technical goes. Like one of these guys who can move all over the guitar, but I'm just not a fan of technical ability for the sake of technical ability, I guess you would say.
You don't like that dial-up internet sound in your rock and roll?
I do not. I like lyrical guitar playing, or something I can grab my teeth into, something where somebody had to actually come up with something that is meaningful within the song, not just a bunch of notes played very, very fast in different combinations. It's impressive. Right. It's impressive to watch. It's technically extremely impressive, but it just, to me, does nothing for me and does nothing for musicality, and that's what I'm into.
Well, at this point, this is the part of the show where we give our final thoughts on the song that we just listened to. Rocket, we're going to let you go first since you're our guest, if you want. And we grade these. We say a little piece and then grade it from a scale of 1 to 5. What would you give this song?
I think there's good aspects to it in some of the melodic ideas. It does have a little bit of his old aggression for Guns, and I think that's really cool. I just kind of feel like, again, I might be more open to it if it was just called an Axl solo project, but having the name Guns N' Roses on it puts me standing back a little bit and grading on a different curve. So I give this song overall, let's say a 2.5.
Okay.
Smack dab in the middle.
All right. I have a feeling Caputo's going to say something similar, so I'm going to go next so we can kind of have like a sandwich here, because I love this song. I'll be honest with you. This is one of my favorite favorites. I don't know. It's hard to say it's one of my favorites. It's not one of my favorite Guns N' Roses songs ever, but it's one of my favorites on the album. I feel like I had to pick like just a handful I was going to listen to. I don't have a lot of time. Riad sometimes, depending on my mood, especially if I'm really pissed off. If I'm pissed off, this is one of my pissed off songs. Like I want to work out, or I want to gotta mow the yard, or shit that pisses me off. The grass is long again. Arr! I woke up and left the bathroom light on all night. Now the bill's gonna be a fortune. Arr! But I don't give a fuck about them because I'm crazy. Yeah. And it's that lyric though that hits me, is I am crazy. And for that alone, that's my bias. I ain't gonna be obnoxious and give it a 5-star song. It's not a 5-star song. It's not even a 4-star song. 3.75 is for me. All right, Chris, you're up.
All right. I was wanting to go along the same lines too. I think just probably for like more nostalgia purposes for me, it's like even listening to this album, you know, from when it first came out, even to like now, you know, if I ever pop this album on, whether I pop in the CD or I have it, you know, on my Spotify or whatever, this used to be like one of the tracks I always kind of like just gloss through or just like, you know, background listen. But it has grown on me. You have to give it a little bit of props. You know, it's nice to hear Angry Axel. We always like a little pissed off energy in our Guns N' Roses. We need that. But otherwise, I feel like it's like a little messy. It's a bit sloppy. It isn't like my least favorite song on this album. I'd say Scraped is, but I mean it's okay. I've heard a lot worse from other people. I mean, we still have a couple even not so good Guns N' Roses songs to look at. So I mean, I'd put this all along the same way. I'd say 3.75. This is kind of the same level as Scrape for me. It's okay. Sometimes you'll skip it. Sometimes, you know, I'll listen through it, whatever. So. Oh, you're on mute, brother. On mute.
Oh, sorry. Talk about a song that's a bunch of jumbled together shit that I feel like Scraped is like 5 songs that was like we didn't record a whole song for each of these verses, so we just crammed them all together.
Yeah, because that one was weird because like for a lot of hardcore fans like us were like, oh, we got to see what this song maybe used to be, tracking through the leaks and stuff. And it's like we never heard anything like this. We didn't hear it in like the recent leaks from like 4 or 5 years ago. So it's like it's definitely some cobbled up shit, or they did it the last minute.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're going to spin the wheel, and let's see what we get next week. Once again, the movie is Death of a Rock Star. Link in the description. Check that out. Thanks for being here, Röckët.
Good to be bad, Nadler.
Oh, what was it?
Oh, we got there's an Adler song.
Good to be bad, Nadler.
Good to be bad, Nadler.
Adler.
Oh, Adler.
Finally.
I just saw him a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, we tried to see him last week, but his ass no-showed in Jefferson City.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
Yeah, and that vlog is coming hopefully very, very soon. It's in the editing process right now for our YouTube channel.
Yeah,
so once again, thanks for being here, Röckët. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Guns and Radio podcast. Links in the description. Get your copy of Death of a Rock Star. You won't regret it. I'm telling you.
Absolutely won't regret it.
If you don't like this movie, Chris Caputo will kiss your ass. That's how good a movie it is.
Whoa. I mean, verbally, I'm not going to literally do
it. He'll send you a compliment.
Exactly. You'll get a thumbs up and maybe a heart.
You know what I just did? Like the Tenacious D. If we don't win, you can take Cage back to hell.
Yeah.
That's what I just did.
You send me to Beelzebub.
Anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to come back for Shotcast Saturday on Saturday. And until next time, I'm Dustin Bonez.
And I'm Chris Caputo. See you guys next week. 299, the final song review of the season. We'll see you then. Peace.
Thanks for having me, guys. Bye-bye.